Hello, here's the news at this hour on Tstv. I am Mobola Batekale. Here are also major headlines. Federal government to reduce petrol price by 5 naira from Monday. Oyo begins removal of unapproved billboards. Biden picks first black Pentagon chief, and in the world of sports, England to face Poland in 2022 World Cup qualifiers. And now, the news in details. The federal government has agreed to slash the pump price of premium motor spirit, PMS, also known as petrol, by 5 naira from Monday next week. Minister of Labour and Employment, Senator Chris Ngige, disclosed this while addressing newsmen at the end of a closed-door meeting with the organised labour on Tuesday in Abuja. Ngige said that the new price of petrol template would come into effect from Monday next week, while he noted that the price reduction was not meant to suspend deregulation as it did not affect the price of crude oil. He, however, said that the NNPC, as the main importer, has agreed that it would cut costs and demurrage, noting that the new price slash was a product of a joint committee of NNPC and Labour representatives who look into ways of cutting costs. Ngige also said that the government and Labour have agreed to wait until the next meeting on January 25, 2021 on the aspect of electricity tariffs, as he added that this is to enable the special committee dealing with complaints to conclude their deliberations. President Muhammadu Buhari has advised African leaders to implement arms control in the continent as he spoke at the 14th extraordinary session of the Assembly of the African Union (AU) on silencing the gun, held virtually on Sunday. The president, in a statement, said that the major challenge for Africa today is achieving a new trajectory of peace, security, stability, and a conflict-free Africa following threats of terrorist activities and other crimes across the continent. The president, however, noted that numerous challenges still abound in Africa, which is the reason for the Assembly calling for endorsement for the extension period of the implementation of the AU Master Roadmap and Amnesty Month beyond 2020. He also stressed that constant and adequate coordination between the regional economic communities and the AU should be encouraged. Oyo State Signage and Advertisement Agency (OYSAA) has embarked on removal of unauthorized and debtor billboards across the state. The Director General of the agency, Honorable Temilola Segun, disclosed this while addressing the journalist in his office at the State Secretariat, Ibadan. Honorable Temilola stated that prior to this time, the agency has warned the advertising practitioners and other stakeholders to regularize their unapproved billboards and pay the debt or forfeit them to the agency. He said OYSAA will clamp down on any advertising practitioner who failed to comply with the rules and regulations of the agency, as he further stressed that OYSAA would not allow any unauthorized billboard on the streets, and billboard confiscated would attract serious sanctions before it is released to its owners. Oyo State government has suspended the recruitment of persons living with disabilities in the state teaching service and promised to investigate the allegations leveled against the commission by the PLWDs. Chairman of TASCOM, Akande Alamu, disclosed this while addressing the protesters at the State Secretariat, promised to deal with those found culpable of manipulating the list. This is coming after persons living with disabilities, PLWDs, protested against what they called alleged shortchange in the recruitment of teaching and non-teaching staff by the State's Teaching Service Commission, TASCOM. The protest, which began in the morning at the government secretariat, caused a heavy gridlock along the adjoining routes, as the protesters said the Governor Seyi Makinde-led administration promised them 5% of the total TASCOM recruitment, but the reverse is the case, as 149 persons living with disabilities were shortlisted instead of 350. The news on T-Salute will be back right after this. Welcome back, and now to some foreign stories. Lloyd Austin, who led United States troops in Baghdad in 2003 and rose to head of the United States Central Command, has been chosen by President-elect Joe Biden to be the first African-American Secretary of Defense. A veteran of conflicts in Iraq and Afghanistan, the retired four-star Army general, who is 67, beat out the favorite for the job, former Under-Secretary of Defense Michelle Flournoy, amid pressure on Biden to nominate more minorities for positions in his cabinet. Newsmen cited unnamed sources familiar with this decision after Biden said earlier Monday that he had made his choice and would announce it on Friday, while Austin would require Senate confirmation to take the post. Around 30,000 nurses and other healthcare workers in Kenya's public hospitals have gone ahead with a strike. Meanwhile, doctors have delayed their own industrial action for a fortnight. Officials from the Nurses and Clinical Officers Union say they will not go back to work until all their demands are met with, which include more training, protective gear, and compensation for families of health workers who have died from COVID-19. However, more than 500 workers have tested positive for the virus since March, and 30 have died. There are now more than 88,000 confirmed cases in Kenya, with more than 1,500 people have died. And finally, in the exciting world of sport, England have been drawn in a group with Poland in qualifying for the 2022 World Cup in Qatar, while holders France will come up against Ukraine, as well as Finland, while Gareth Southgate's England semi-finalists of the 2018 tournament in Russia will also take on Hungary in Group 1. Holders France were handed an awkward draw in qualifying for the 2022 World Cup on Monday, with Ukraine and Bosnia and Herzegovina standing in the way on the road to the finals in Qatar, while England will face Poland in their group. France will also face Finland, who recently beat Le Bleu in a friendly in Paris in Group D, and Kazakhstan, completing the group that was drawn in a virtual ceremony at FIFA's headquarters in Zurich due to the COVID-19 pandemic. However, European qualifying competition to reach the finals begins next March, with a total of 13 countries from the continent going through, while only winners of each of the 10 groups will qualify automatically for the finals, which are to take place in November and December of 2022. The second phase of camping for the Tokyo 2020 Olympic Games has begun yesterday in 3 locations across the country. According to the acting director of Field and Elite Athletes, Simon Ebojaye, the athletes would be camped for 3 weeks in Port Harcourt, Abuja, and Yenagoa. In Port Harcourt, 14 track and field athletes under the supervision of 2 coaches are in camp, and in Abuja, 8 para-athletes, 14 para-table tennis players, and 8 weightlifters are in camp, while 8 wrestlers are camped in Yenagoa, Bayelsa State, under the supervision of 2 coaches. Meanwhile, the first phase of camping was held from November 20th to December 9th, while the second would take place from December 7th to 24th. And with that, come to the end of the news. Here is a recap of the major headlines. Federal government to reduce petrol price by 5 naira from Monday. Oyo begins removal of unapproved billboards. Biden picks first black Pentagon chief, and in the world of sport, you heard England to face Poland in 2022 World Cup qualifiers. Please don't forget to always adhere to COVID-19 safety measures. The news was compiled by Hope Chijioke. I am Mobola Batekale. Good day, and thank you for watching.